Hello, everybody. I am back and welcome to another devlog. I've actually had time to work on the game, and a lot has happened since the last devlog. But today, I mostly just want to focus over some of the look and feel, the aesthetics, and a couple of things you'll notice right away when you first step into the forest. The first thing that I want to talk about is the player character themselves. Now, three things have happened here, one of which is not important at all, so I'm going to start with that. I've slightly altered the character's idle animation so that the held weapon and shield don't dip down too far. It was looking weird. Now that that one's out of the way, the first thing I did was add in a dust effect when the player walks around, and you can see that right now. A lot of games use this, and I figured I might as well too. It looks cool. It adds a little bit of extra visual, something to look at. But more importantly, if there are a lot of things going on in the game as you're playing, having this dust trail behind your character does make them a little bit more easier to find amongst everything else that's going around. Now, the last thing I did with the character and it's not the yellow shirt, but this is something I said that I would not do at the beginning of this project, or at least when I switched over to Godot 4.0. I said I was only going to have left and right facing sprites, and you would move up and down like that, and it would be fine. It'd be easier for me to maintain. I can make more armors more easily. I decided I didn't like that, and so I added back-facing sprites to the player and the shield. I'm not going to do it with the weapons, I don't think that's a big deal, but I feel like it matters more with the shield and the player. So now you can see the character from multiple sides, and that adds a lot to the game. I'm not going to do it with enemies, I don't think. Maybe a couple enemies for, case by case basis, but if I commit to adding back-sided sprites to every enemy in the game, that's going to take a considerable amount of time that I don't know if I have the resources to spend on doing. The next thing that I want to talk about is somewhat still in development, and that is the day-night system and the weather system. Both of these will have an impact on the type of enemies that show up in each room and other events throughout the game that are, time dependent or weather dependent. Right now, I've disabled the lighting effect changes from day to night because I haven't quite picked the colors correctly, and it looks a little off. So I just turned it off right now for this video. And in terms of weather, right now I just have sunshine, which you see now, the clouds, which you saw earlier, that are, work in progress, and then I have rain, and rain looks pretty good. I plan on adding more weather systems as time goes on and having different effects come with them as well. I think it would be great to have thunderstorms that actually, periodically create bolts of lightning that hit the ground, making it somewhat dangerous to fight and explore during thunderstorms. That'd be cool. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the room generation because some things have changed here. First of all, you may notice these little plants and little extra grass bits, and those are now generating in each room, and they're generating based on each room seed, so every time you enter a room, they're going to be in the same place. Prior to this build of the game, the little weeds would just appear randomly each time, and I wanted it to be a little more consistent. But now the more important thing is what I've called super objects and sub objects. And if I go down here, this isn't the best room for this, but we have two super objects which have spawned in, which are these big trees, and they can appear in a number of set spawn locations defined per room shape. And the super objects, like these trees, are determined by a combination of what biome you're in and what subroom you're in. For instance, I'm in the forest, so there's a good chance that these big trees will spawn in. If I were in a graveyard in a forest, these could be big trees, or they could be crypts, or tombs, or other things that relate to both, as well as other things that could be part of the forest. And once each of these is created, they have different spawn locations around them selves, which could include things like small bushes. And these small bushes appear because they're part of the forest. And again, if this was in a forest slash graveyard, even if these were big trees, what appears around them could be tombstones or grave markers or other graveyard things along with forest things. Now, I realize this is probably not the best thing to explain right now when I only have trees and bushes here, but I'll probably revisit this again, this topic, once I have more things to actually show to explain what's going on and why this is so cool. But for now, just know that there are larger objects that spawn in set locations, and set locations around them have smaller objects. I'm hoping to have enough super objects and sub objects to where each time you walk into a different room with a different room shape, different super objects, different sub objects, you'll create very almost, as unique as you can room experiences. And one of the goals with creating, a game that randomly generates each room is to have things fit and make sense, but avoid that sense of everything being the same from room to room. So, doing my best there. I do want to wrap this up though by saying that I apologize if I sound a little sinusy or anything today. I've got some pretty aggressive allergies today, but I really wanted to record something. I just have to keep pausing it every 5 seconds so that I can not have sinus issues or hack and cough while recording this. But anyway, that's just a little overview on how the look and feel of things will go. If I walk out of this room, you're going to see a plethora of enemies, and they're kind of a little bit all over the place right now. So once I get all that wrapped up, I'll create another video talking about combat, and I haven't even swung this sword yet, and that's going to be a fun explanation there too, because I've done something pretty interesting and fun with how weapons work in this game, and I'm sure I'm not the first, but I think it's really cool, and I can't wait to talk about it. But this is just a small little update right now. There's plenty more to come. I've actually, I actually wrote down everything that I had worked on in the last month, and apparently I have material to cover 5 short videos. So you will not be having to, not be having, you won't have to wait a month in between each video from now on, especially if I make them a little bite-sized like this. I feel like I'm rambling, as I do, so I should probably draw this to a close. Thank you everyone for watching this, and we'll see you in the next one. And I promise you will probably see some combat happening in that one. All right. Thank you, everybody.